Longtime viewers of my channel might remember this drone. It's the Holybro X500 kit. And what makes it different is the flight controller. So most of the flight controllers that I'm used to working with run Betaflight or iNav firmware, but this one runs Ardupilot. And I made it because I wanted to dip my toe into the Ardupilot world. Today, we're going to dip our toes further into the Ardupilot world. We are going to do Express LRS RX as TX, and we are going to explore Express LRS's MAVLINK functionality, which lets us get rid of this telemetry radio. And if you're a little confused about what all that is, stick around. I'm Joshua Bardwell. You're going to learn something today. This piece of software is Mission Planner, and if you think it looks like something from the 90s, you're not wrong. But despite its ancient user interface, it is the state-of-the-art for managing some pretty sophisticated aircraft. And Mission Planner is not just used to set up and configure the aircraft. So here is the Setup tab, and we can set up and configure the flight controller, but it is also used to manage and control the flight controller while in flight. So if we go to data, we can see all these actions we can perform. We can activate return to home. We can loiter. We can literally do anything with the aircraft that we would normally expect to do with an FPV drone here with our hand controller. But there's more to it than that, because normally you would connect to a Betaflight flight controller with USB or maybe Bluetooth. But Ardupilot aircraft are typically configured with a digital telemetry radio. So you don't just want to have your RC control link while you're flying. You want to be able to do all your Mission Planner stuff. And there will be a radio like this. This is a Holybro telemetry radio. It's a SIK radio. S-I-K is, if you were searching for it, it's made by Holybro. And it's a 900 megahertz digital serial link. So there's another one of these on the aircraft, and I can plug this radio into my laptop, or I can even plug it into my tablet, and it will connect and allow me to do anything I need to do with the aircraft with this radio wirelessly. But it's kind of dumb that you've got to have two radios on the aircraft, one for your RC control and one for your Mission Planner link. I mean, some people feel like that's a good thing, because if you fail-safe the RC control, then you at least have a backup. There's an argument for that. But a lot of people would like to combine their MAVLINK connection. MAVLINK is the protocol that is used to do all of this. It's the protocol that's used to talk to the flight controller. It's called MAVLINK. A lot of people would like to combine their MAVLINK connection and their RC control connection into one thing. And that's the first thing. Well, chronologically, it's going to be the second thing, but in terms of topics, it's the first thing we've discussed. That's the first thing we're going to do today, because Express LRS has the ability to carry MAVLINK data over the Express LRS link. So you've got your Express LRS RC control link, and you've got your MAVLINK connection all with one radio. But there's a problem with that. And the problem is that MAVLINK is bidirectional. We need to have packets coming back from the aircraft and going to the aircraft. And if we were using a traditional Express LRS receiver, the receiver does not have very strong transmit power. So a receiver typically would have between 10 and 100 milliwatts of transmit power for its telemetry radio, which means that we have 1 watt of power coming out of this radio and we get far, far away, but we only have 10 or 100 milliwatts of telemetry power coming back, and so we fail-safe the telemetry link before we fail-safe the control link. Now, with Express LRS RC control, that doesn't matter, because all that really matters is that the RC packets from the hand controller get to the aircraft. The telemetry coming back is kind of like, well, whatever, I've got an on-screen display anyway, so I don't really care if I get that. But with MAVLINK and Mission Planner, we absolutely need the link to be symmetrical. We need just as much transmit power on the uplink as the downlink. And that brings us to the second thing we're going to do, and that is Express LRS has the ability to do what's called TX as RX. So this is the Radiomaster Bandit Nano, and it is a transmit module. But it can be flashed with firmware that turns it into a receiver. And it's a receiver with a 1 watt radio. So now we have a 1 watt radio in our hand controller, we have a 1 watt radio in the aircraft, and that means that they will have comparable range, and that MAVLINK connection can be maintained. So let's get into it. So the first thing I have to do is I have to convert this transmit module into a receiver. And the way that I do it is by flashing firmware. Isn't that how you do everything with ExpressLRS. I'm just going to plug in USB here on the module, and I'm going to go to the ExpressLRS Web Flasher. This is the app that I've been using to flash ExpressLRS recently. I think it's just a little smoother than the ExpressLRS Configurator app, and it doesn't require some complicated installation on the machine. You can use either. We're going to go to the receiver section, and this may confuse you a little bit because this is a transmit module, but we're going to go to the receiver section, and that's how we convert this transmitter into a receiver. I'm going to choose firmware 360. That's the latest at the time that I am making this. Radio Master 900 megahertz, and my hardware target is going to be the Radio Master Bandit Nano/Micro 900 megahertz RX. And you may be thinking, wait, the Bandit Micro is a TX, not an RX. That's the point. So it may feel a fly just dived on my ear. It may feel like we're flashing the wrong thing, but we are not. So we'll go next. I'll put my bind phrase in. My editor will blur that out so you can't see it. Well, I had a moment where I thought I might have bricked it because after the module power cycled, the screen didn't turn on and the LED just blinked, and then I realized it's a receiver now. It blinked like a receiver, then it went into Wi-Fi mode, and I connected to it, and sure enough, it says Radio Master Bandit 900 megahertz RX. It is working fine. It's got my bind phrase. It should, if I power cycle it, it should connect because it should have my bind phrase. It should connect to my GX12, right? It did. Connected to my GX12. There we go. So this module is now a receiver. It's just an ExpressLRS receiver. It's just a very big one with a lot of power. Next, we have to connect the wiring to this receiver, and it's not going to be as simple as just plugging something in to the module bay pins here. The module bay on an Edge TX or OpenTX radio does not have a standard UART, TX, and RX pin. It could, but for historical reasons it doesn't. It actually uses FreeSky S port that is a single pin, which is half duplex. So basically we just take turns transmitting and receiving. And it's just been that way forever and continues to be that way, I guess, for historical compatibility. Although when I found this out, I just thought FreeSky is still screwing us over years later. That's really an unfair characterization, but anyway, what we got to do is open the module up. And Radio Master has conveniently put some UART pads on the inside. Convenient. Well, I guess it's convenient in that we can do it at all on the inside of the module. And frankly, a lot of people, well, not a lot of people are doing TX as RX, but people who are doing TX as RX will often decase this device anyway just to save some space. So here, if we open up the back cover, and we can actually unplug, didn't mean to do that. We can actually unplug this because this is not going to be used. We're just not going to use these module pins at all. Here are the UART pads that we're going to solder and it's going to solder up like any Crossfire receiver or ExpressLRS receiver. Honestly, we don't really need the screen either. The screen doesn't work. We do want the LED. I think we could decase this a little further. Well, how are we going to mount the antenna though? I don't know. I think I'm going to keep this part just so we have a convenient way to mount the antenna. But there's another complexity we have to deal with, and that is the wiring of the flight controller. Typically on this type of flight controller, you would use the RC in plug for the receiver. That is a traditional servo plug, and it takes connections like S-Bus or SRXL, sort of last generation protocols. If you're going to do something like ExpressLRS or TBS Crossfire, then you have to connect to a UART. And on Betaflight flight controllers, you just solder to the UART. On this flight controller, we're going to use one of these telemetry plugs, which is just a UART. And we're going to do it using this plug, which we will have to repurpose. And I hope I get it right because I only have one of these wires with this JST-GH connector on it. I'm sure it'll be fine. Is this also the same connector? Oh, I have two of these wires with the JST-GH connector on it because I'm going to just cut this in half. Oh, will it be long enough? Am I going to mount it up here on top like this? Then I can't see the screen. So it should probably be facing down like this. I guess that doesn't really matter. Oh yeah, I'll have to plug the XT30 in somehow so it gets power. That's not the end of the world. But I don't think I would need to mount it like on the underside. So I guess a short cable is going to be okay. I will just cut this in half, and then I will have 2 wires of half the length. All right, well, we're committed now. For the wiring of the flight controller, I found this web page showing the Pixhawk flight controller baseboard V1 ports, and if we scroll down, we can find the telemetry ports, and they will tell us what the pinout is. Hello, where is it? Have I passed it? Dang it. Where is it? There we go, telemetry ports. We can see that the red wire is 5 volts. The next wire is TX, RX, and then we skip 2 wires. So we have 5 volts, TX, RX, skip 2 wires, and then ground. Red, 5 volts, TX, RX, skip 2, and ground. So, okay, I'm going to pull these 2 wires out very carefully in case I need to reuse them because, like I said, I don't have any spares until Amazon brings them to me. Okay, great. There we go. Yeah, if you just get in there with a little razor knife and lift the tab, you can pull them out without damaging anything. All right, I believe this should be correct. We have ground, which is the furthest one from the red one. We have the red one, which is 5 volts. And then we have TX is next to the 5 volt, which goes to RX. And the remaining one, RX, goes to TX. We'll find out when we actually plug it in. So that's the signal wiring. This is how I've ended up mounting this, and a wiser person would have tested to see if the signal wiring was correct before he wrapped all this up and mounted it, but I'm sure it'll be fine. As far as power goes, the module does power up from this power connector. It's getting 5 volts or whatever it needs from the flight controller, but I'm not convinced that it actually will run the module, especially at 1 watt, on this little 5-volt regulator. In fact, I'm slightly concerned that it will try to run the module and will damage the flight controller. Probably not, but I don't want to take a chance. So what I've done is I have removed the red wire from this harness. So we are not getting 5-volt power from the flight controller, and instead I have run the 4-cell battery into this XT30 plug. And fortunately, there are a bunch of extra XT30 plugs on the PDB of this flight controller, of this quadcopter, so that I can just easily plug in there and didn't have to solder anything, just made a little XT30 extension wire. And then as far as the antenna goes, we've just got the antenna with a right angle connector right here, and I've tightened those down, and hopefully it won't fall over and get in the props. If this was, I would probably have a better solution if this was really intended as anything other than a test bed, but that's what we're going to go with for now. So now let's go over to the computer and actually configure the flight controller and see if the damn thing is going to work. All right, it took me a couple tries to get this right, but I do have it working. Yes, it is working. Okay, don't worry about that. The first thing we have to do is we have to figure out what serial port and what UART number our receiver is on. So I'm plugged into Telem 3, and I'm going to go to this documentation about the Pixhawk 6X flight controller and find that Telem 3 is serial 5 or UART 2. I'm going to remember that. Then we're going to go to the serial ports, and we're going to find UART 2 serial 5, and we're going to set that to RC in. Then we're going to go to serial ports, and we're going to find serial port 5, UART 2, and we're going to change that to RC in. There are a couple other settings that need to be changed for this to work, and these settings are going to be changed in the full parameter list. The first one is to tell the flight controller where to get its RSSI and its LQ telemetry from, and we do that by doing RSSI underscore type, RSSI underscore type, and we set that to 3 receiver protocol. Okay. Next, we're going to find the RC underscore options, and we're going to set a few of these. I want you to set yours so they look exactly like mine do. for Crossfire stuff. The most important one is this one, use 420 kbaud for ELRS protocol. If you don't do that, it simply will not work. The rest of these, I don't actually fully understand what all of them are, but that's how the ExpressLRS website shows them set up, so I have emulated it, and it is working. Lastly, and this was the one that stymied me for the longest time, we're going to find the RC_protocol option, and we need to make sure that Crossfire is enabled there. By default, it was not, on mine at least, and so nothing was working until I did that. This tells it what RC protocols to even think about looking for, so it doesn't waste time looking for ones that you're not using. In fact, I'll probably disable SBus here. And when all of that is done, we're going to hit write params, and then you should be good to go. Reboot. Pixhawk. We got to reboot. And let's just confirm. Radio calibration. Yes, it is working. Awesome. We have a serial Crossfire receiver with RX as TX. There's one other setting that you need to change here in the ExpressLRS Lua script. You're going to need to do this with the receiver powered up and bound. And when you do that, at the very bottom of the menu, you will find other devices, and you will find RM Bandit RX. That's your receiver. And in the receiver options, which for some reason take for freaking ever to load, I don't know why. Here in the receiver settings, we're going to change the telemetry power, which is the power that the receiver is going to use to transmit back to us. We're going to change that to, well, I think we should change it to match TX, which means it'll match the transmit power of the transmitter and keep that link symmetrical. By default, it was set to 100 milliwatts, which means the whole reason that we put this freaking thing on here is completely pointless unless we change this option. So change that to match TX. Now that our receiver is working, the next thing to do is to get the MAVLINK connection working. And that'll let us just like have this tablet just floating in our hand with no physical connection to anything and yet still be controlling the craft. I'm Joshua from the future. I already got it working. It's so freaking cool. But before I show you how to do that, can I take 1 second of your time to ask you if you would consider joining my Patreon? Patreon is a website where you subscribe to me. If you value the content that I make, if you're learning something, if I'm helping you solve problems, someday I hope that you'll look around and go, dang, I should join this guy's Patreon. I feel like he's given me a lot. It's time I gave something back. If today's the day, there's a link in down below. You can subscribe for as little as $2 a month or more, whatever amount you feel like the content I make is worth. And if today's not the day, that's cool. You probably already skipped over this and you're onto the content. I do the same thing. I'll see you then. I do the same thing. Next, we're going to go to the MAVLINK page for ExpressLRS, and we're going to go through the setup there. And there are two things that we need to do. The first is we need to enable the MAVLINK connection between the radio and the aircraft. And second, we need to enable the MAVLINK connection between our laptop or tablet or whatever device we're using to run Mission Planner and what? And the radio. So the laptop or tablet is going to go to the radio, and the radio will forward that stuff out the ExpressLRS radio link. The Wi-Fi connectivity between the laptop and the radio happens via something called the ExpressLRS Backpack, which is an additional radio that is in the ExpressLRS module, and it can be used to do a supplemental wireless connection to a different device, like a laptop. The first thing we got to do is we got to update the firmware on our ExpressLRS module and our Backpack, which are two separate firmware updates. Those instructions, I'll put a link down below. I'm not going to walk you through that. So I'm going to go into the ExpressLRS Lua script and change to 200 packets per second, 200 hertz low band to get us a little bit faster connection. If you are willing to have shorter range, you can run at even faster packet rates and it'll be a little bit smoother. Well, we'll see how well they've optimized it as we get it working. Next, we're going to go to other devices and we're going to choose the Radio Master Bandit, and then it will take forever to load again. Oh, that's faster. We're going to change this protocol from Crossfire to MAVLINK. And then we will back out. We will rerun the ExpressLRS script, and we will change the link mode from normal to MAVLINK. Oh, not well connected. Okay. Changing to MAVLINK link mode will force some changes in your ExpressLRS configuration. The one that is most likely to trip you up is that it forces your switch mode to go from wide to hybrid. If you haven't been doing ExpressLRS for a long time, you may not even remember hybrid mode. The way that it works is that different aux channels have a different number of positions that they will support. So channel 5 only has 2 positions. Now that's always true with Express LRS. Channel 6 can be 6 positions. Channel 12 can be 16 positions. So if you have switched to MAVLINK mode, your aux channels may not work like you expect. If you intend to use an aux channel for something like flaps or a servo, you can't do that. They have to be just switches, and you have to be okay with just having 6 positions. Also, it's going to be kind of confusing as you try to set them up in the mixer. You may set them up to have continuous movement, but then you'll just see them go dunk, 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 and you'll be like, what's up? That's hybrid switch mode, and you just have to live with it if you want to do this. The other difference with MAVLINK mode is that the telemetry ratio is always set to 1:2. And that is because the telemetry packets are used to send the MAVLINK data, and we need there to be enough of them that we can get the MAVLINK data through. Next, we're going to go back to the serial ports, and for whichever UART we have the receiver on, we're going to change it from RCN to MAVLINK 2. We're going to change the baud rate to 460-800, and we also need to change the RSSI type, which we'll do in the parameter list, RSSI type, and it is going to be 5. What's 5? Yes, telemetry radio RSSI is 5. That's the correct value. Write params. At this point, I believe we should have a working radio. We need a reboot? Let's reboot. We do. We have a working radio. This time, though, the signal is coming in via MAVLINK, which makes me wonder if all that work I did to get Crossfire working was even necessary. I'll bet that it wasn't. In fact, maybe I'll even just take that right out of the video and make it a separate video. The next thing we have to do is connect our laptop or tablet to our RC controller so that Mission Planner can go through the Express LRS link and get to the flight controller. So I'm just going to unplug USB here, leave the battery plugged in. I'm just going to set this on the ground over there, no USB cable. And what we're going to do that via Wi-Fi. So we could plug the computer into USB on the controller and do it that way, but we're not. And the reason is that there is a bug in the implementation and it is super slow under some conditions. And Wi-Fi is cooler anyway, right? Who wants to have a freaking cable going to their laptop? We're going to do it the Wi-Fi way. Here in the Express LRS Lua script, we're going to go down to Backpack. We're going to scroll down to Telemetry, and we're going to turn Telemetry to Wi-Fi. Now, if you have your Express LRS module set up to connect to your home Wi-Fi network, it will then do that. Otherwise, it will start broadcasting a new Wi-Fi network that you can connect to. So here on my computer, I see, there it is, Express LRS TX Backpack 42A FA4. I'm going to connect to that. And like usual, the password is Express LRS. Then, apparently, all I have to do is go to UDP and set the baud rate. No? Can I set the baud rate? Can I not set the baud rate? No? Did I just hit connect? Oh, there we go. Enter the port 14.5. Oh, I got to enter the port 14.550 as the default. Connect failed. I think it's not working because my desktop computer has a wired connection to the internet and it has a Wi-Fi connection, and I'll bet Ardupilot is using the wrong interface, and then it can't connect. Let's try the tablet. First, we will Wi-Fi. No, I want to connect to Wi-Fi. Wi-Fi on. Okay, now we're connected. Now there's nowhere for it to go. And then we're going to go UDP. Oh, there we can change the baud rate. 460-800. Connect. Default port, okay. Come on, buddy. Come on, little buddy. Come on, buddy. I think it's working. It's working. It's getting params. It's working. It's connected. How long is it going to take to get the parameters? It's going to take a long fucking time. It's taken a minute. It is working, though. How fucking cool is that? I'm sorry for swearing. Complete me. That's so cool. Oh, it is working. God dang. So psyched. That is sexy as hell. I tell you what, that is freaking sexy. I've got a tablet in one hand. I've got my GX12 here. I've got a wireless connection to the radio. I feel like I'm in the freaking future. No extra dongle, no extra, I was looking for the freaking sick radio. Nothing. Just good old Wi-Fi. That's so sick. I love it. I freaking love it. Oh, man. Almost there. We've almost loaded all the parameters. Almost. That's it. And now I have full control of everything. Just whatever you want to do, you could just control it. You could fly. You could literally fly the damn thing. All right, well, it's a little bit laggy. Maybe I could use a higher packet rate, or maybe there are other ways that I could optimize it, but that'll be a topic for a future day or a future video. In the meantime, I've got it working. I'm super psyched. I'm gonna take this thing out and fly it and see how that goes. Hopefully yours is working as well, and you've enjoyed this, and I will see you in the next one.